For the last few months, my tropical plants have been inside safe and sound from New York winter. But now it's spring and it's time to bring them outside. And this year is even more exciting because my sister's dog Lenny is going to see the house for the first time without plants in it. Right, Lenny? Yeah. Go get it. He's going to have a lot more space. First question I get asked a lot as a meteorologist is, when do you know that it's time to bring your tropical plants outside? Now, I start bringing the subtropical plants like my citrus outside on mild days, even in January, February, and March, because for plants like citrus, they tend to only flush out with leaves a few times a year. All right, Lenny, I know you want to play. Look at her. She loves playing. So with plants that flush out leaves just once, twice seasonally, I try and sync it with our season so that way we're not doing that inside the house. Because when you bring a tropical plant inside and it is triggered by a change in seasons, well, it's going to think it's spring, but it's going to be November, December, and it's not healthy for the plant. So again, citrus, cordyline, australis, which is like a grassy kind of palm-looking tree. There are a lot of palm trees that are not tropical and are subtropical. Those kind of just go in and out throughout the year. But these plants behind me, they are true tropicals. And if you don't know if your plant is tropical or not, then you should just assume that it's tropical, so that way you don't get them burned by the cold. So, with that said, the tropical plants, I like to bring them outside when we have consistent night temperatures around 50 degrees. They can handle colder, and so if you do get a night that's maybe 45, 44, I've even had them outside with temperatures as cold as like 39, but when you get those nights, you want it to be very infrequent, and in general, when you see a forecast like a whole 10-day with nighttime temperatures that are around 50 or warmer, that's an idea that it's warm enough to keep these outside. Of course, if you have the strength and the plants aren't huge, you can always bring them into the garage, bring them back into the house if you have a frosty night. But with plants as big as this, it's a one-time thing. I bring them out once, and then I bring them in once. If you don't do this one thing, all of your plants will die in a matter of hours. So before I even talk about when to take your plants outside, I want to tell you what to do when they go outside. You need to put them in shade, or else the sun is going to burn them. I know, the same exact thing that they need for their survival, sunlight, is what can kill them. And what we're talking about here is leaf scorch. So this has some minor leaf scorch on it, despite my best effort to keep them away from the sun. Any sunlight, when they first go outside, is going to burn them. So you can see that these leaves are a little discolored compared to what their leaves are supposed to look like, which is this. This is a leaf that's been in more shade. So the leaves that get sunlight are discolored, and they're not able to produce as much energy, and that could kill the plant and put it into shock. Or a lot of times it just kind of makes it look ugly. So look at the difference here between a leaf that's leaf scorched and one that's not. Is that not remarkable? Look at the two of them together. Look at this. You see, so full shade when you bring them outside for 2 weeks. All right, so I have these like huddled up into the shadiest corner of the yard, but my parents' yard gets full sun. There's just no tall trees in the whole backyard. So unfortunately, I always get leaf scorch on my plants despite my best efforts. But you want 2 weeks in full shade if you've got it, and then after 2 weeks in the shade, you can bring it into a spot that gets morning sun before 9 o'clock or so, or dappled sunlight in the afternoon, or evening sunlight that's like 5 o'clock or so, because the sun is just less intense there. You want it like in that kind of condition for maybe another week or so. So in my climate, I take these plants out mid to late April. By mid to late May, everything is in its correct sun exposure. Lenny! Now, the one exception to my full shade rule is my plumerias. Since they don't have a lot of leaves, I kind of just put them into, it doesn't have to be full sun, but a partial sun spot before they go into full sun. Anyway, I'm going to bring all of these plants outside this morning. I'm going to show the plumerias going outside here on YouTube, but head on over to my Instagram, and that's where I'll show you the big palm trees coming out. This is my Plumeria Divine, which you can tell how often a Plumeria is flowering by how often it branches out, because every time a Plumeria flowers, usually it produces branches. Sometimes it'll flower and it won't, like you can see here. This is an old Plumeria inflorescence, this little circle, and it just kept on growing, so sometimes that does happen. This is Plumeria Divine, and it blooms a lot. Every single year I get flowers, and every stem tip is an opportunity for a new flower. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 tips on a pretty tiny plant. So that's why I really love Plumeria Divine. And I do have more inflorescences coming on this too. We have one here. That is a Plumeria inflorescence, that little kind of almost cauliflower looking thing. Here's a look at how many flower buds I have on this. These are all inflorescences. It looks like I have one here. There's one there. So now we're at 2. Each one produces hundreds of blooms. 3, 4. Do I see 5? 5. This is crazy. I've never seen this many before. 5. So plumerias drop all their leaves in the winter time during the dry season in the tropics. And now it's going to start sprouting back. And a lot of times the first thing you'll do when it's sprouting back is it will bring leaves and flowers at the same time. This plumeria actually hasn't flowered in a really long time, and it's got a beautiful flower on it. So some plumeria varieties, they just don't bloom very well here in New York, but I will tell you that this one finally is. What is Lenny up to that she's upset? Let's see. What's got you going, Lenny? What's got you going? She's a little needy today. She's usually very good. Alright, these are most of my plumerias, including the one that's in bloom, which I lost a few buds trying to get it out the door, because like I said, it's a jigsaw puzzle, and I'm not good at puzzles. Between that and my big plumeria, I have way more than a dozen flower inflorescences popping up on my plumeria plants at my parents' house, which means the possibility for thousands of plumeria flowers over the course of a summer. Thousands. I'm actually really excited because my sister's dog, Lenny, has never seen the house without plants before. I mean, she technically did, but she was a little puppy when we got her at the end of last summer. So, as far as she remembers, her whole entire life, the house has been filled with plants. What a difference 2 hours can make. So I still have to clean the floor. You can see that's pretty messy. Very typical of a plant move. Look at the skylights. I'm so lucky that we have these skylights in the kitchen. That really helps keep these very sun-loving palm trees like my bottle palm happy, but it's not going to stay in sun. As I mentioned, we really need to keep this in shade for 2 weeks, even though it's a sun-loving plant. So here's my setup. I have a umbrella for the table, and that's going to help kind of keep some of these, like my fiddle leaf ficus and my rubber tree, Ficus elastica, in some shade. But you see, it's not perfect. There's just so much sun in this yard, which is great during the summer, but it's hard to transition these plants. I also tucked away the Adondola palm in as much shade as possible, but that still is getting a lot of sun. So it's official. As of Earth Day, April 22nd, all of my palm trees and plants are out of the house for the season. A little earlier than usual. Sometimes I really kind of push it till May lately because April's been so wishy-washy, but nope. April 22nd this year. Not too bad after last weekend's really, really cold weather. Not Easter weekend, but the one before that. It's nice that we have some consistently warm stuff coming. So yes, here's the bottle palm living its best life. But tulips, I can't get over it. Earlier this morning, they weren't fully open. Look at how they look when they're open. Amazing. I love a double tulip. The cannas are starting to come up. These are the ones I stored in the garage during the winter. My Incente Morelli, which was in the garage, that's opening up a leaf, so that's doing pretty well. I am curious if the cannas in the ground are coming up yet. At my house on Long Island, I do have some that are starting to sprout. Oh yeah, look at that. We have one. really close to the house that's starting to sprout. But the other ones look like they're not coming up yet. And it was a cold winter, so we'll see if they all survived. I had a Mexican petunia come up last year too over here. We'll see if that comes back. No sign of life yet from any of the cannas, except for that one little rogue canna. I look at these flowers on this camellia. I also have a variegated iris. I love this iris because it looks beautiful all summer long and it produces gorgeous blooms. It looks like we have one starting to come up over here. This is what the blooms first look like, that inflorescence before it emerges. Let me see if I have another one. Not yet, but definitely at least one. The variegated iris don't bloom quite as heavily, but I usually get a few flower heads from it, and then you get to enjoy the foliage the rest of the year. It really is pretty special. And then behind it is a very similar variegation pattern from my Yucca filamentosa. And of course, the windmill palms. What would I be without these palm trees? Nothing. I love them. My oleander, which of course is potted, that's doing quite well. And I want to show you all the plumerias are outside getting some sun. I'll move those into their proper place in a little bit. I love the Yoshino cherry. It just looks so good this time of the year. I love looking at it. I have a couple more plants in shade. I mean, look at how easy it is to get sunburn. Even in full shade, my CHAMADOREA MICROSPADIX got sunburned. Dieffenbachia, I'll probably get some sunburn. The hostas are just starting to come up. It's actually pretty weird that some stuff is slow, like the cannas, but then other things, like the figs, are not going as slow as usual. They're actually sprouting quite quickly. Look at my Biago's blush fig. We've got fruit already developing along with the leaves, and all of the branches are like this. So I mean, this is going to be a banner year for fig fruit. I mean, so much already on the tree just as it's starting to sprout. And yeah, usually, I don't know, there's not always this much life on it this early. I feel like first week of May is really when the fig starts to sprout. But Biago's blush is always an early one. I have no idea how common that cultivar is. I got it at a plant sale and I've really never seen it as a common one, so it could just literally be somebody's fig from their backyard, but I recommend it highly because brown turkey is a very common fig variety. And look at my brown turkey fig. Now, granted, it's in a pretty exposed spot, but I mean, there's like no sign of life from this thing. In fact, it looks like it actually got damaged this winter. 10 degrees was our low, but this is like some crunchy stuff. So it's died back in the past and it always fruits, but I don't love brown turkey. The fruit quality is not great and the tree itself is bleh, it's meh, you know? It's just not my favorite fig, but it is the most common one. Also a banner year for camellias. It's weird, like, my palm trees got damaged this winter more than usual, especially on my yard on Long Island. But the camellias, flawless. They really, really are doing fantastic. This is April Rose, which is a cold hardy camellia variety, and it is just filled with so many more flowers than usual. This is a very shady part of the yard, and it just doesn't really get enough sun to set buds most years in a really nice way, but this year it's just loaded. And I didn't plant this. This kind of came with the house, I think, or I was very young, but it's always been here. The red-tipped Bonita. I did plant the camellia, but the red-tipped Bonita I did not plant, but I kind of like it. You know, it's kind of invading on the camellia's home over here. I wish that there was a little bit more room between the two of them, but I do like how the red foliage on the Bonita kind of complements the camellia. So, and maybe it helps provide some protection. These are both evergreens, so they look really nice during the winter. My ostrich ferns are coming up. RHODEA japonicana. This is just such a fun evergreen that I love. It reminds me kind of a cast iron plant, but I think honestly prettier, and it's easier too. My mums are coming back up from last fall. This is another favorite of mine, my DAPHNIPHYLLum MACROCARPUM. I don't know if that's how I pronounce it, but that may not be the correct way to pronounce it. It's also known as a red-necked rhododendron, and look at all of the new growth on it this year. It's really becoming a proper tree now, and I'm loving it. So yeah, lots of exciting stuff going on in the garden at my parents' yard. Everything survived the winter, both in and out of the house, and we're moving on to summer. before you know it, spring is like kind of weird because I feel like I'm always anticipating late spring because I love the tropicals so much, and we've now kind of reached late spring at this point. My beech tree at my parents' here is still leafless though, so when that leaves out, that's when I know it's officially summer. And the reason why is because it will finally give some shade to this yard so I can start putting stuff where they belong. Bye everybody.